The Fantasy Football Blitz, brought to you by the Alabama Boxing Team. When you feel disgrace, hit a fan in the face. Heading into week 6, we had several storylines juicier than a fall beach from Palisade. We had two teams still searching for their first win and one team undefeated. We had several surprise teams underperforming and several surprise teams overperforming. We've had injuries, upsets, heartbreak, impatience, side bets, trades, celebrity analysts, and much more. Unfortunately, this week, ESPN couldn't cobble together enough resources to provide a celebrity guest analyst, so we've decided to get straight to the scores. Who would win the juggernaut battles between injured reserve and Jonathan Taylor and company and wide receiver U against Big Truss and the Cooks? Who would win the battle of underperformers between imposter wide receiver U and the Blue Barracudas? Could Mikalik sneak a peek at a 5-game streak, or would Dirty Mike and the Boys eke out a chic and sleek week? Could the Chosen Ones and Team Dumpster Fire finally suckle from the sweet teat of success? Or with Thug Passion and the Dirty Danes keep them grasping for victory? To week 6 we go. A battle of two teams jockeying for position like they were Seabiscuit. 4-1 injured reserve takes its stable of misfits on the road for a sizable test against the 3-2 Jive, Turkey and company. Several Colts helped buoy Jesse's bunch as Deion Jackson and Michael Pittman combined for 43 points on their way to a rock-solid 121-point showing. Would it be enough to beat the surging reserves? This week the answer would be yes, as Matty's squad gets solid production, but it wouldn't be enough to catch Jesse as they score 107 points in defeat. Both teams now fully in the mix at 4-2. A potentially landscape-altering tilt of two teams with a combined one loss. Wide receiver U in its unblemished record faces off against the 4-1 Big Truss and the Cooks, who to this point have scored the second highest total on the season. After all the games were completed on Sunday, it looked as if there was no way of stopping the Cooks from securing their 5th win and vaulting themselves into first place like a pole vaulter from North Carolina. With Gerald Everett and Melvin Gordon needing just 14 points, it seemed inconceivable the Cooks would fall short. But on this night, they did. Melvin, where did the ball go? Gordon gets benched and the Chargers offense sputters, giving the true U another scrappy win, improving to 6-0. The Cooks dropped to 4-2, right in the thick of things. Could the underwhelming 2-3 imposter wide receiver U figure out a way to get their season back on track against the shockingly downtrodden Blue Barracudas? After a seemingly endless run of dominance from the Barracudas, they finally seem to have come back down to earth, as they may have cashed in all their luck in exchange for 3 titles in the last 5 seasons. They score 109 points and once again top the 100-point threshold, but once again are squared off against an opponent who puts up big numbers. Imposter wide receiver U gets steady production from most of its team en route to a strong 127 per points, handing the Barracudas their 5th defeat of the season. Imposters moved to 500 and are firmly back in the chase. The last time we saw Mikalik, they were streaking through the quad and into the gymnasium. Could they keep it alive against the 2-3 Dirty Mike and the Boys? The Meeksters have been strong of late, putting up over 100 points several times during their 4-game streak. But this week would be a bit different, as Nick Chubb has a pedestrian game by his standards along with the rest of Jordan's team. The roller coaster ride of Parker's season continues, this time hitting a high as they cross the 120-point threshold and cruise to a 28-point victory. They move to 3-3. Mikalik drops to 4-2. Both teams right in the thick of things. One of two teams still searching for its season's cherry popper. The hottest trash in the league, Dumpster Fire, takes on a 2-3 Thug Passion team looking to get back in the mix. It's been a tough season for both teams. Not only are the Dumpster Fires 11th in points, but are also getting nearly 131 points per week scored against them. Additionally, Thug Passion has had a scoring barrage against as well, averaging nearly 120 points given up per week. This matchup was close and hard-fought, but in the end, and despite scoring 104 points, the Dumpster Fire would continue to burn, as the Thugs get big production from Ramondre and Ayuk. They get the 110-104 victory and get themselves, you guessed it, firmly back in the mix. In this week's and possibly this league's lowest scoring affair of all time, the 3-2 Dirty Danes hit the road against the hapless 0-5 Choden Ones. Scoring? Who needs it? Did every owner in the league who lost this week roll their eyes when they saw this? You bet. Do you need more than 124 points combined? Undoubtedly. Both teams get next to nothing from anyone as Kyler Murray headlines a low-scoring snoozer. When you only score 62 points, you expect to lose 100 out of 100 times, but this week, the Choden Ones find themselves triumphant on what could be the lowest point total in a win in the league's history. Bad news, they have an uphill battle. The good news, they can finally pop some champagne and get the monkey off their back. Jared moves to 1-5. Danes fall to 3-3. Before we sign off, we'll take a quick look ahead at next week. Fresh off their first win, Steel Nail looks to build momentum against imposter wide receiver U. 2-3-3 teams Thug Passion and Dirty Mike and the boys look to move above 500. The Danes gave up a first win this week. Will it happen again versus the Dumpster Fire? A solid matchup pits a 4-2 Mika League against the unbeaten wide receiver U. A battle of two strong 4-2 teams has JT and company on the road against the Cooks. And can the Barracudas get their season back on track against injured reserves? That's all the time we've got this go-round. We'll see you next time on the Fantasy Football Blitz.